Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of littleguyscgi.com, and today I want to show you how to take a 3D character and turn that 3D character into a 2D sprite sheet using Blender 2.76b. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, then go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Okay, when you first come into Blender, normally you see a cube. What you see here is a character that I showed how to make in another tutorial, which I'll put a link up so you can get to that. Okay, what you see here is called pose mode. Normally when you come into Blender, you'll start off in object mode, and you can get to your different modes just by clicking right here. So I'll click object mode. In Blender, you move objects around typically by using object mode. You make and edit objects by going into edit mode. Okay, to be able to navigate your view, if you hold your middle mouse button down, you can rotate around your view. If you hold shift and the middle mouse button together, you can pan. And then if you roll your mouse wheel in or roll your mouse wheel out, you'll zoom in and zoom out. Okay, you can also use the minus key on your number pad to zoom out, or your plus pad on your number pad key to zoom in. If you hold shift and the plus button or shift and the minus button, you'll move your view in smaller increments as you push, minus and plus on your number keypad. If you want to focus on a particular part of your mesh, like the face, you can press and hold shift, then press B, then release. And then what you can do is left click and drag a box, and then Blender will focus in on the area that you drag the box over. Okay, I'm going to roll my mouse wheel to zoom out. Another way that you can navigate your view is you can go to the navigation tab right here. If you don't see this navigation tab, what you need to do is go to File, User Preferences, then go to Add-ons, and then make sure where you see it says 3D View, 3D Navigation, make sure you have a check mark right here. Okay, and with the navigation tab, you can use these views here to quickly navigate through your different views, which is extremely useful, particularly if you're on a laptop that doesn't have a full number pad views. And you can also manipulate your view by switching through the number pad buttons, but I recommend that you actually just use this navigation tab. So I'm not going to go over the navigation buttons using the number pad in this video. Okay, the first thing we're going to do to set this up is I'm actually going to hold shift and the middle mouse button and pan up some. I'm now going to hover my mouse over what looks like this triangular stripe looking thing right here. I'm going to left click and hold and then drag to the side. And what that did was that just split my view. Now both of these views are of the 3D view port, which is useful because what we're going to do here is we're going to hover our mouse here, and then we're going to select the navigation tab. Then we're going to select View Camera. And what we see now is a view looking through the camera that's currently in the scene. Okay, what we're going to do with this window is we're going to zoom back. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. And this is a symbol that represents our camera here. So we're going to select this camera. Okay, with the camera selected, what we're going to do is go to this panel here, and we're actually going to choose what looks like a camera right here. We're then going to choose amongst the lens setups, orthographic. Okay, what we're going to do now is hover our mouse over this particular 3D viewport. In Blender, depending on where your mouse is at, shortcuts often change. So you want to have your mouse over this viewport. We're then going to press the N key to bring up our properties panel. Okay, with the properties panel open, you want to just scroll up and put these settings in here. Now I learned how to set up the camera for an orthographic view from a YouTube channel called PigArts. PigArts has a lot of good YouTube video tutorials on his channel. And if you want to look further into setting up the camera for an orthographic display, I recommend you go to his channel and check it out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to where it says location X. We're going to click here. We're going to change this to 12. I'm just going to left click to lock that in. We're going to go to where it says Y. We're going to click here. We're going to change this to -12. I'll click here to lock it in. Then we're going to go to where it says location Z. We're going to click here and then just put in 12. Okay, now what we're going to do is go to rotation X. We're going to click here and then we're going to put in 54.8, and I'll just left click here to lock in. We're going to go to Y, click here, then put in 0, click here to lock in. Then we're going to go to Z, click here, and put in 45, and then I'll just click here to lock in. Okay, and that's it as far as setting the settings for setting the camera up for the orthographic view. So we're going to press N to take away this menu here. We're now going to click this button right here, which is our render button, and our current resolution is set right here. And what we want to do is we want to change this to a square resolution. So what I'm going to do is click here. I'm going to change this to 300, and then I'm going to go to Y, click here, and then change this also to 300, and then I'm going to take this resolution, which is at 50%, and take this up to 100%. Okay, and you can see here that the camera view is now square. Now what we want to do is I'm going to zoom back by rolling my mouse wheel back. I still have the camera selected, which is what we want. We're going to click back here on this camera icon again. Okay, so what we want to do is get our character so that he's not almost going off the screen. When you're setting up the camera for your character, you want to make sure you have enough space around your character so that they can animate and do their moves, yet still be in the view of the camera. So with the camera selected, we're going to take our settings here in the icon that shows the camera. We're going to select Y where it says Shift and just move this over. That'll put the character more towards the middle. And we're actually going to use this, push to the right. I'm just selecting, left clicking and pushing to the right, just making the camera zoom out a little bit, again, so that the character has enough space around him to animate. And you want to think of the camera moving around this in 360 degrees. Okay, now what we want to do is zoom into our character. We're going to select the mesh part. We're going to press Shift S, which brings up our Snap to menu. We're then going to choose Cursor to Selected, and our cursor just centered in on our character's origin point. Now what we're going to do is press Shift A. This brings up our Add menu, and we're going to choose Empty. And then I'm going to choose, empty is a non-renderable object. I'm going to choose a cube to represent that empty. You can see that cube right there. Okay, and with that empty selected, I'm going to press S to scale and just scale this empty down some. Then I'm going to select left click to lock in. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back so I can see the camera. I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button to pan. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate, holding Shift and middle mouse button to pan again. I'm then going to select the camera. Okay, when you look at the other 3D viewport, you can see this orange outline going around the camera view, letting us know the camera is selected. So with the camera selected, we're going to zoom back in. I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button to pan. And we can see, from this outline, the camera is still selected. And for what we're about to do here, it's important that the camera is selected first. So with the camera selected, again, we can see the camera selected because here is an orange outline going around the camera view there. We're going to hold Shift and then select this empty here by left clicking while holding Shift. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to press and hold Control and then press T. And then after doing that, we see this Make Track menu pop up. And what we want to choose is Track to Constraint. Okay, and you can see that when we did that, the camera view jumped a little bit. That's fine. And what we did again was first we selected the camera, then we held shift, then we selected this empty, then we pressed Control T, then track to constraint. And what that did was that made the camera set itself up to always track this empty. And since this empty is pretty much placed right on our 3D character mesh, the camera will track this character mesh, and that's what we want. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to select our empty. The reason why we did that was because before we had our camera and our empty selected, and you can look here and see that there's no longer an orange outline going around the camera, so the camera is no longer selected. With this empty selected, we're going to press Shift S, which brings up our Snap to menu. Then we're going to choose Cursor to Selected, and now our 3D cursor jumped to right here. Okay, and the reason why we wanted our 3D cursor right there is because in Blender, objects tend to come into where your 3D cursor is. So we're going to roll our mouse wheel back. We're then going to press Shift A. This brings up our Add To menu, or our Add menu. We're then going to choose Curve and then Circle. And you can see right there, there's a circle. With that circle selected, we're going to press S, then 2, 0, and S is the scale. We just, the 2, 0 made it scale up to this current size. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel and zoom back just a little bit more. And with this curved circle here selected, we're just going to take our manipulator and pull this up a little bit. And I'm just putting it around the range of, or around the location, I guess I should say, of where the camera is at. I'm going to hold the mouse button. It doesn't have to be exact, but yeah, you just want to move it up some so it's a little bit closer to the 3D camera there. Okay, now what you want to do is select the camera, then press and hold Shift, and while holding Shift, select this curved circle. Then you're going to press Control, press and hold Control, and then while holding Control, press P. And then you're going to, that brings up the Set Parent To menu. You're then going to choose Follow Path. Okay, and now the camera is attached to this curve, which is what we want. However, one of the things we don't want is if we press play, you'll see that the camera actually animates around this curve. And for what we're trying to do, we don't want that. Okay, so to not have our camera animate around the curved circle, what we want to do is scroll down and look for where we see it says Path Animation. Then where it says Frames, we're just going to click here and then press 0 on our keyboard. And now when I press play here, the camera doesn't animate around the curve. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm just going to click this timeline to be, back on frame 1 just by selecting there. Now we want to select the camera and we want to adjust our view. So we already selected on the camera options here. I'm going to scroll this back up, and what I'm going to do is just left click and drag here to the left. And then once I get my settings, I just, let go of my left click. Okay, and if you want to set how high your camera is in this view, like how much your orthographic view is like over the character, if you click your actual curved circle and use your manipulator to take it up or down, you can actually adjust that. So you can see like there's more of a side angle. Here's much more of a top angle. I like it around here as far as the orthographic view looking, down, but not so looking down, so above that it's hard to see, what the character actually looks like. Okay, and once you have the view how you want it to be, I would recommend that you press the N key to open the properties panel. And I would recommend that you just, it would be a good idea to take notes on the location of your curved circle, as well as taking notes on the settings for your camera, just so that if you want to have other characters made in the sprite sheets that exist with this character, that the view is the same for the camera. So I'm going to press N to take away this properties menu or panel. Is it menu or panel? I don't know. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to hover my mouse over this 3D viewport. I'm going to press T to take away that menu just to give us some space. I'm going to hover my mouse here, and I'm going to press T here to take that away to give us some space. I'm going to press N to bring back up our property panel. I'm then going to select this curve right here. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you can see your character from every direction. More so when the character is animated than when it's standing still. Like right now you might look at this and say, okay, well that looks like a lot of space around the character. And if you do think it's too much space around the character, you can select your camera and then you can go to where it says orthographic view, and you can actually push to the right to zoom out or push to the left to zoom in. One of the things you want to think about though is the purpose of making the sprite sheets this way, the way I'm showing you, is so that you basically are able to have 2D sprites that look like they're 3D. So you want to think about, like, if this character throws a punch or if they're holding something in their hands and they go to swing whatever they're holding in their hands, that there's enough white space, not just on this view or this view, but actually all the way around. So the way that we can manipulate the camera so we can see all the way around our characters, we would select here, we would press R to rotate on the Z axis, and then we can just, turn. I'm going to left click to lock in just because sometimes Blender I have issues when I rotate something and I cross screens. But we can just rotate around the character. So I'm just pressing R to rotate on the Z axis. And we can see for there the character, he totally fits into the view. And then just to get back to where we started, we can click here and then just select 0 on our keyboard and be right back to that original angle that we were looking at when we started. Okay, on this particular character, I actually have a walk animation. Very simple, no timing or anything added to it yet, but I'm going to put that on. So what I'm going to do is we're in the default view, and what this is here is this is a place that Blender has set up so you can switch between workspaces. So I'm going to click here and select animation, and what this did was take us into a view where it's much easier to work with animation. We have a dope sheet and action editor, F curve, set up right here. I'm going to hover my mouse here and just move to the side. This is our action editor, and these are previous actions that I set up from before. So I'm just going to click here and then choose walk. And you can see here's the keyframes for the walk cycle right here. Like I said, no timing or anything yet. It's just a very basic walk cycle. I'm going to right click and drag right to here, which is the end of the walk cycle. Then I'm going to move back one frame. Then I'm going to press the E key just to make sure that this walk frame or walk cycle is set up the right way. I am going to scroll down here and I am going to okay, I'm looking for display, which is right here. I'm going to select only render. So I'm going to select play here. So we can see the character, doing his basic walk cycle there. I'm going to pause it. Okay, now I'm going to select here and choose default to go back to the view that we were working with before. I'm now going to hover here. I'm going to press N. I'm going to scroll down to where it says display, and I'm going to choose only render here as well. Then I'm going to press N to take away this properties panel. I'm then going to select play. And we can see our character there. So what I'm going to do now is select this circle curve. And I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis just so we can see that everything is clear around the character. And I'm just repeatedly pressing R then Z. And for what we're doing here, it does look like we have a lot of space. So what I'm going to do is select the camera. I'm going to go to where it says orthographic scale. And I'm actually going to left click and drag a little bit just so that we have less white space around the character. I'm then going to go to where it says shift and Y. I'm going to left click and drag here just to move the character up. And then what I'm going to do is select this curve again now. I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. And just making sure that it looks like the character is you know, able to be in the view at all angles. And he does. Okay, for the purposes of this tutorial, we're just going to set up a basic 8-direction walk cycle group of sprite sheets. So what we're going to do is, with this curve selected, we're going to go to rotation. We're going to click here. We're going to put in 0. Then left click to lock in to get this to, come back to the original space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, with the curve selected, we're going to, and our mouse over this viewport, we're going to press R, then Z, then 4 or 5, and then left click to lock in. Okay, so I'm just going to press right here to pause this. And what you can't see is I have a notebook here, and I just wrote down angle 1, 45 degrees. We want 8 directions going, 360 degrees is a full circle. So the way you get your number, your degrees, is you just, do 360 divided by 8, gives you 45 degrees, to turn per angle. So we're going to have our first angle at 45 degrees. Okay, what we want to do now is hover our mouse over here. I'm going to press and hold Shift Z, and the reason why I did that was so we can take a look at our character to see how it's going to look for when it's rendered out. That's what Shift Z does. It takes you into rendered mode. I don't like how heavily the character is shadowed, and it's like this because I didn't, set up a group of lights. An easy way and simple way to get better lighting very quickly, such as when you're doing a tutorial like this, is what I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to press and hold Shift and then press Z to come out of rendered mode. I am then going to go to our world settings here. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to select this check mark here next to ambient occlusion to turn on ambient occlusion. I'm then going to click here where it says factor 1.00. I'm then going to change this to 0.25. Then I'm going to press enter to lock that in. And now when I hover my mouse here and press and hold Shift, then press Z, things look a lot better. Okay, now what we want to do is make sure that we actually have a transparent background here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our render button here. We're going to scroll down to where we see it says shading here. I'm going to click this arrow looking icon, and right here we can see it's set for sky. We want to click here and change this to transparent. And now you can see over here that the background is transparent. Okay, now what we're going to do is scroll down. You want to make sure that you are set to output, because we're in the output panel. PNG files, you want to make sure also that your PNG files are set for RGBA. This A is very important because that means that there's an alpha channel included with these PNGs that you're going to output. If you have it set for RGB, you will not have a transparent background. Okay, so with your transparent background set up and with your output folder set for PNGs, with the PNG set for RGBA, now what you want to do is click here and you want to go and make a folder for where your PNGs are going to be at. So I am going to click here to make a new folder. I'm going to name these Sprite Sheets A. Then I'm going to press enter to lock in for that. Then I'm going to click here to go into that Sprite Sheets A. And then I'm going to click here to make a new folder. And I'm going to name this angle 1. Then click here to go inside of that folder, and I'm going to click here again, angle 1, and then I'm going to select accept. By the way, if anybody noticed my many misspellings in my folder names, I am a Google speller. What can I say? I'm so used to being on Google and clicking on it and having Google spell correct for me. And anyway, you want to make sure that you have your frame set up. So here's your start frame here, your end frame here, so that your cycle looks correct. And then once you've checked to make sure that that's correct, now what you can do is you can scroll up I'm going to change this display just because I like it better. I'm going to change it to new window, and then we're just going to select animation, and then we can see here. Okay, I just stopped the video and restarted it so we could get through that faster. So it rendered out to frame 32. So I'm going to close this window here. These are the images that got outputted here, just so you can see what that looks like. Okay, let me move this out of the way. Okay, we're not going to go through all of the angles. However, we will go through one more angle so that hopefully you can have down how this works. So with the curve selected, what we're going to do now is just press R to rotate on the Z-axis 45 degrees and then left click to lock in. So then now we have our new angle set here. The reason why you don't see transparent here is because I don't have the rendered mode on anymore, which is fine as long as the rendered mode is correct, and we can see from here that it's set, still set for PNG, RGBA. So what we want to do is click here. This is the images from the first time we rendered out. If we click here, we can see those images there. We want to click here to go back up above this folder. Then we're going to click here to make a new folder. We're going to name this Angle 2. Then I'm going to press enter to lock that in. I'm going to click in here to go in the Angle 2 folder. Then I'm going to select plus from here just to automatically change that number to Angle 2. I'm then going to select accept. I'm then going to scroll up. I'm going to click here, change this to new window, and then I'm going to select animation. Okay, and I just stopped the screen recorder just so I could get through that quicker. That's also why I had to press new window again. I think in the current edit that I selected new window previously. I just didn't want you to think you have to do this every time if you want to have that new window option open there. Okay, to make the actual sprite sheets, we're going to use the open source program called Gimp. Gimp is very similar to Photoshop, and you can download Gimp for free. So that is what's actually going to put the images together so we get our different sprite sheets. Okay, before you open up Gimp, if you just downloaded Gimp or if you have Gimp, what you're going to need to make these sprite sheets does not come in the stock version of Gimp. However, what you need is a plugin called Fuse Layers. I want to give credit to V Scorpionix. That's who I learned about this plugin for Gimp from. I recommend you just go to Google, search registry gimp.org. This is the website here. This is what you want. You click here. Once you come into the Gimp plugin registry website, just click here and type in Fuse Layers and search for it. And then you can see right here the search results. So we'll click here for Fuse Layers. Okay, on this page, you won't see a download tab or anything. However, if you look right here where it says attachment, this right here, this link, when you click this link, this will allow you to download the Fuse Layers plugin. Okay, and if you don't have Gimp yet, you can just, search for Gimp. Here Gimp is right here. You can just go right to downloads. There was an issue a little while ago. The current time, it is November 12, 2015. I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago when you tried to download Gimp, there was some kind of issues with the download. However, everything is fixed now. If by some chance you tried to download and had an issue in the past, everything should work fine and everything should be safe as far as you downloading Gimp. So you would just, click your version of GIMP that you want to get it. Okay, and GIMP, very similar to Blender, is available for download on Windows, on the Apple OS X system, as well as Linux. So yeah, just nice to know you can download on all those different platforms. Okay, so once you have your Fuse Layers script downloaded, what you would do for in my case for Windows is this is my downloads folder. I would then just right click on the Fuse Layers script. Then I would choose copy. I'm not going to choose copy because I already have the Fuse Layers script installed. Okay, then for Windows, I would choose this PC. I would then go to my C drive. I would then go to Program Files. I would then go to GIMP 2. I would then go to Share. Then go to GIMP. Then 2.0. And then I would arrive at the scripts folder. And I would double click to go in here. And then once in this folder, I would paste the Fuse Layers script into this folder. Okay, this is GIMP here. If I go to Filters and then Combine, you can see here is the Fuse Layers script that we just installed. Okay, so now that we have the Fuse Layers script installed, what we want to do is go to File and then choose Open as Layers. So what you see here is these are the PNGs that we outputted out of Blender, and this is inside of the Sprite Sheets A folder that I made, and we're currently inside of the Angle 1 folder. So what I'm going to do is press and hold Control, then select A to select all of those PNGs. Okay, and with all of those PNGs selected, we're just going to select Open. And then what you can see here is all of the PNGs that were in that Angle 1 folder are loading into GIMP. Okay, now with all of these PNGs brought into GIMP and each PNG brought in as its own separate layer, what we're going to do is select the top PNG. We're then going to go to Filters and then go to Combine and then select Fuse Layers. So then this button pops up here. We'll click here, and what this is asking for is how you want your sprite sheet to be laid out. I tend to like it laid out with 5 images, going across to the right. So I'm gonna leave it selected at 5. Typically, when this opens up, it'll come in. It'll say 1. I like 5. I would recommend 5. However, you can set it for however many rows you want it to have. So then I'm just going to select OK. Okay, and you can see that the Fuse Layers script very quickly and easily made a sprite sheet for us. I added this layer here just so you could more easily see the sprite sheet. Also, since all of these images are on one layer, we can very quickly adjust the color of all of the images together, which is nice. So I'll just select OK. Okay, and when you're ready for this image to be outputted, you would just make sure that you don't have anything like I have here with the white layer. You just have your transparent background. You would go to File, Export As, and then you would go find a folder or make a folder to where you want it to go. So I'll name this actual Sprite Sheets. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have this set up to be outputted as a PNG. And then I'm just going to select Export. This panel will pop up. You want to unclick where it says Save Background Color, and then you'll just select Export. Okay, and here you can see the exported sprite sheet. So I'm just going to left click one time. And I'm going to change this to angle 1 and press enter. And I'll right click and open this up so you can get a look. So there's the actual sprite sheet right there. Okay, here we are back in Gimp. If you go to make another angle of sprite sheets, if you go to bring that in using the fuse layer, for whatever reason, there tends to be an issue with that. My wife figured out a way to deal with it a little bit easier than we originally had dealt with it. And what you do is you go to File, look down there at the bottom, then select Close All, and then select Discard Changes. And what this does is this wipes out the work that's currently in Gimp. However, before we found that out, you had to actually close Gimp and open it back up. So with that done, what you can do now is just go to File, open as layers, and then go to your second angle. So here's the angle 2 folder. So I'll double click to go in here. I'll press Control A, and then I'll just select open, just like we did before. So then with the top angle selected of angle 2, I'll go to filters, then I'll go to combine, and then I'll go to fuse layers, then select that. This menu or this prompt pops up telling you that Gimp wants you to work with this panel. It's asking me about the layers on the x-axis. I want 5, so I'll select OK. So then here are the new images for angle 2, and then just like before, I could select the fuse layer, go make some color adjustments, select OK, and then I would just go to File, Export As. We're in the actual sprite sheets A folder, which is where I wanted to go. Last time I left it untitled, and I just named it in the folder. You could also go right here, and this time I'll just name it angle 2. It's already set up as a PNG, so I'll select export, and then it remembered from last time that I had unchecked save background color, so then I'll just select export. Okay, and here you can see the angle 1 sprite sheet and now the angle 2 sprite sheet. And as you work your way through, like I said, we were setting this up for you to do 8 angles. And you would just, continue on doing the technique that I showed you in this tutorial. Okay, and I'm just going to right click here and open this up so you can see. So there's our second angle sprite sheet right there. Okay, and once you have your sprite sheets all exported out, you should be able to upload it into whatever program you're planning to load it into. You have your transparent background, and that should allow you to put these graphics over environments. And of course, you could use other transparent layers to put things like weapons or other effects on top of your character meshes or whatever other meshes you're planning to use. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Also, to those of you who have donated, thank you greatly. Your donations make it easier to make more tutorials. Also, for those of you who feel that they've gotten something out of this channel and would like to donate, if you look in the upper right corner of your screen, you'll see a little eye there. If you click on that eye, you can click to send a donation, and a donation of any amount would be greatly appreciated. Also, to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.